guys, welcome to Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. We knew this would be trouble. I've mentioned it. Many of you have mentioned it, to where when the red pill manosphere, guys going their own way, whatever, it's kind of getting big. It's getting big, and everybody's paying attention to it now. And like all things, the ones that are loud, the ones that want attention, the ones that are putting their voices out there, the ones with the craziest ideas, the clickbait type attitudes and titles, when they get big, yes, they get attention. Yes, they make a lot of money. Well, except all three of these people have been demonetized by YouTube and are now struggling to stay relevant. But, well, not Andrew Tate, I guess, but the other two are. We knew there would be problems. And now if you mention, oh, I'm a red pill content creator, I'm in the manosphere, you're one of those weird people. Because the crazies went out there with some really crazy stuff, and now there's pushback against it. Ironically, for some reason, they think that we're, I don't know, somehow attached to Republican causes or conservatism. And in many ways we are, because we don't want the relationships to continue on the way they are, being very progressive and left. But I would more say we're like anarcho-capitalists. We're definitely not left or right. We'd be more libertarian than anything else because we don't agree with really either side on a lot of things. Well, Sydney Watson and many others are now screaming about men's content. Now, this picture you see here is not doctored. This is not, it's not something someone made up. This is a real T-shirt worn by a real woman. Now, how this, one of our expressions from just a couple of years ago, and I don't know who originated this, if anybody knows who came up with this phrase, which is, if you're just listening and not watching, the punani is never yours, it's just your turn. How this became such a big phrase and popular enough that it is now being put on women's T-shirts, and they are buying it as some sort of an own to own men, telling them that, like, I'm a strong, independent woman. We've come 360 or 180. We've gone through 180 into crazy. Actually, we've gone 720. We're spinning in circles where society is so crazy at this point. This is where we are now, where content that was once banned from YouTube talking about, so we had to make all these weird expressions like 304 and carousel and all the other things. All these terms we came up with to skirt around demonetization while trying to get our message out are now appearing on T-shirts that women wear. That's how popular this stuff is becoming. But that's a problem because the ones that are representing the community, the loudest, and becoming the most popular are the ones with the most insane views, in my opinion. This is from Dr. Sydney Watson, and now she's a YouTuber. She's also does political and stuff, and she's got quite a large voice out there on Twitter. She's got 500,000 followers on Twitter. And you notice it says followed by Chaya Raichik, Riley Gaines, and 150 others I follow, because I do follow a lot of prominent, both conservative and libertarian type people. So we the wheelhouse that we're in is similar. And she says stuff like this: "Give all your money to me, and I'll protect you from the gold-digging wenches, red pill leaders, probably." Let me play the video for you. You can hear what she said, and you can see why I think we've got the wrong representation for kind of what our mindset is. Because we don't have leaders. We're not a movement. This started out as a philosophy, as just a mindset to protect yourselves. But like all things, now she's going to put this out there because she's got to make content on our thoughts and our opinions on other content. It's like a fish eating or a snake eating its own tail at this point.
I absolutely hate the red pill movement. And as time has gone on and this movement has grown in size and in popularity, what is becoming more and more clear to me is that predatory people, predatory leaders at the top of this movement are taking advantage of the fact that there's a lot of really, really lost men in society who do require direction, who do require role models, who do require some assistance when it comes to courting the opposite sex and having happy, healthy relationships with the opposite sex. But what they're instead getting is unfiltered anti-female rhetoric, and there is absolutely no way that is going to have a net societal benefit.
Who says we want to have a net societal benefit? I mean, that's my first question. Who says that's what we want? We do try to fix the world. We do try to make things better for everybody, but primarily we're worried about keeping men sane and safe and healthy and not getting themselves in trouble and taken advantage of and having the courts come after us and getting, instead of landing in jail, having the jail land upon them. And instead of what she could have done is say, hey, you know what? We need more people to step up. We need more voices that will protect men. We need more different angles on how to look at this. And she could have said, we need to focus on feminism and how things have gone wrong and why it's causing men to make these communities, why it's causing men to listen to people like Andrew Tate and others, why men are disenfranchised. Nope. She doesn't want to talk about any of that. What she wants to do is attack the guys that are responding to feminism. And it reminds me, it's almost a meme at this point. A kid gets picked on by a bully in school. The bully shoves around the kid. The kid finally gets angry and punches the bully, and right then's when the teacher comes in and drags the kid that's been bullied and given the hard time, who finally decided to step up and fight back. He's the one that gets dragged off to the principal's office. That's what this reminds me of. But she does have a point, and that a lot of the content creators that are in quote-unquote red pill and manosphere content are kind of losing their minds a little bit. Not completely, but some of their takes are getting kind of weird. And it's one of the reasons why I said a long time ago, I'm not going to call myself red pill anymore. I'm not going to call myself going my own way. Going my own way is still accurate. I think that's good. I'm not going to call myself part of the manosphere anymore because it's been hijacked. And the people that have hijacked it are the ones that want to be out there the most. And they're the ones that are heard the most and shared the most and tweeted the most. And now kind of normie people come across it and they're like, you guys are kind of weird. You're like feminists, but for men. And that is not the message we want to be, sending out to the world.
No way. And the irony is that the leaders of these ideological groups will say things like, oh, women are scum-sucking road whores who are going to take all of your money and suck all of your wealth. They're all gold diggers who are going to take your future gold from you, while simultaneously asking you for money and asking you to buy their books and their programs and sign up to their courses that they know have no tangible real-world benefits for you.
So Rollo Tomasi, who writes a book, asks for $20, $25 for his book, and that's got no tangible benefit. I know of thousands, if not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of guys that would argue with that. Aaron Clary, who writes Bachelor Pad Economics, and gosh, I don't even have his books near me right now. They're still packed away, but they will be on a bookshelf. I'll tell you that in my home when it's finished. Aaron Clary writes great books when it comes to female nature and economics and how to protect yourself and things like that. Are you saying that he has no tangible real-world benefits? Well, of course she does. Why? She's never read any of the books. What she does is she sees Andrew Tate, a guy that's worth gosh knows how many millions of dollars, put out a Matrix man-making website for $50 a month where you can sign on to it, and she assumes everybody in the community is like that. Coach Greg Adams has written a book. Do you think Coach's book is like that? I don't think so. This is the same thing everybody does to us all the time. They don't understand us. They don't understand the the whole encompassing of the philosophy of kind of men's content and this sphere of the internet. And all they do is they see one little spot that's ugly and kind of brash and really kind of crazy, and they focus their eyes on that, and they forget the whole other thing and how many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of men, if not millions of men, this has actually helped. And why are they selling books? Why are they asking money for money? Because they've been demonetized, because they're not getting ad revenue for some of the work that they do, because they've been removed from many of the platforms because they're shunned for what they say. Sydney doesn't know any of this. Of course she doesn't. Why would she? So now she, ironically, is grifting and has a statement to say about something she doesn't know anything about. Not just women, but many people seem to do that today, where they want to speak aloud about things they know nothing about. She's one of them.
They are the gold diggers. And instead of seeing this for what it is, people continue to engage with this terrible group of people, this terrible ideology that will ultimately keep you in a victimhood loop and ultimately mean that you will end up alone.
Well, first of all, ending up alone is hardly a negative nowadays, I would say. If anything, I'd say that's a benefit. But it's not about keeping you down. It's not about keeping you being harmed. It's not about keeping you in that mindset of the world is out to get you. It's to tell you in many ways the world is out to get you, but that doesn't need to hold you down. That doesn't mean you need to not live a happy life or a successful life, that you can't find alternatives, that you can't. I mean, if a young man today was not listening to any of the content, and he's going out there and trying to date, and he's on dating apps where he's ignored, and he goes on dates where the women end up using him for food but don't want anything to do with him, or he gets into a relationship and she cheats on him, and or she expects him to accept her dating multiple men, or any of the other weird stuff that's going on. She doesn't call any of that out. She calls the men out that are trying to warn you. Now, why is she calling these men out? Because the influencers that she sees are not the shining example, best examples of what this group of men are telling you. Does she bring up Aaron Cleary? Does she bring up Coach Greg Adams? Does she bring up Terrence Pops? Does she bring up me? Does she bring up, I'm trying to think of some other, Sandman? Does she bring up Undead Chronic? No, she doesn't bring up Kevin Samuels. Does she ever talk about any of these men? No. Who's she talking about? Just Pearly Things, Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, the usual ones that go viral, that are loud, and then if you break that down and you say, okay, let's look at Fresh and Fit. Well, they say sleep with 50 women before you can decide which is the woman you want to be with. I don't like that take. That is a crap take. That is the player mindset. I'm not into that. Many of you are not into that. But that's the message that's going forward. What about Pearl, a woman who's coming up on 30, hasn't had any decent relationships, was the one guy that she did date and or sleep with was a dude that was a father of two and was broke and had to live in her house for a brief period of time? That's not a great example of the community. And what about Andrew Tate? Andrew Tate, I mean, yes, he's done some pretty shady stuff with his businesses and things like that. Not a great shining example. But those are the only ones they know about because those are the ones that are out there and going viral because of the craziness. And I'm not saying I want to be known. I've had multiple opportunities to go do interviews or to make my name better known. I don't want that. I like being quiet at my little corner of the internet, making enough money I can survive, and putting out a good message out there for men. I don't want to be popular. I don't think many of men that are doing the right thing really want to be popular. Now, here's the replies are the important thing. So that's got 3,300.
I absolutely.
I don't know why that started again. I apologize. So that's got 3,300 likes on it. My comment was the following. There are so many other red pill content creators out there that aren't like the aforementioned, but you've never heard of them because they aren't farming for clicks and fame. That got 500 likes. Mike Bar TV, we can do better than this. And that's the problem, is that this has become the face of red pill mindset. I'm not saying everything about them is not good. There's plenty that they've said that is good, but there's a lot that's not so great and puts us in a bad light. The quartering, and I like Jeremy over at the quartering, but he said, I'm sure the comment section of this will be totally not unhinged. He's expecting the red pill community to be unhinged and weird about this, because that's becoming the new normal for this community. Ashley St. Clair says, spot on. Now, Ashley, I've got a comment from her. She's got almost 1 million following. She's got almost 900,000 followers. Right here, just going to drop this here. Feminism, manosphere, perpetual victimhood mentality. But that's not what the manosphere is. To us, we're like, hey, nope, we're not living as the ones being harmed here. We can admit that there's bad things that happen to us, but in the meantime, many of us are thriving. Many of us are doing very well. We're looking for alternative ways to be happy than the traditional relationship. It doesn't mean that somehow we're being held down or we're victims out of all this. Someone else, facts, and when you point it out, their only retort is to resort to their NPC program response of telling you you're either a feminist, old, or ugly. They have no counter arguments, much like lefties. They're not serious thinkers. They're the woke right. And that's kind of what's happened because of some of the crazy content that's going out there. Ashley St. Clair here says, Republicans will lose the election by a landslide if they do not purge all of these red pill lunatics who have severe mommy issues and hate women. Guys, I think if we did a poll here and I said, how many of you genuinely hate women, or are you just leery of them and you're avoiding getting taken? I bet there'd probably be 10% of you that hate women because you're fresh out of a bad relationship or got burnt or a girlfriend cheated on you or you found out you're not your kid's biological father or something. But the rest of the guys are like, no, I'm not really interested in all that. I don't care that badly. And she assumes that we're in bed with the Republicans. That's the irony. I could care less. I hate all of government. I hate all of them. So maybe one side has closer ties to my values, but she thinks Twitter is the real world and that normies know about this kind of content. The quartering says, husbands and wives, boyfriend and girlfriends do this thing called planning date nights. They exist because in a long-term relationship between jobs, kids, and other obligations, sometimes you can forget to take time for each other. I thought you were the relationship expert. He says this in reply to Pearly Things, H. Pearl Davis, saying, date nights are for women who don't like their husbands that much. It's generally used as a bargaining chip. That's her take on this. Guys, I've been married. I've dated a lot of women. It's fun to do date night. It's fun to make a specific night of, hey, let's do X. We'll just get away from work. We'll put it all down. We'll go have a good bite to eat. We'll make sure it's planning time for each. I've never had that used against me as a bargaining chip of take me out to date night or I'm not in the mood and I don't want anything to do with you. Because if that ever happened, that's the end of the relationship. How does Pearl know this? How does Pearl know date nights are for women who don't like their husbands that much and it's used for a bargaining chip? How does she know? She's never been married. She's never had a serious relationship because here's the thing. If Pearl really knew this firsthand, do you know what it means? Do you know what it means? That means that she's the one using it for a bargaining chip. And because of stuff like this, people are saying, wow, those red pill people are really kind of weird. They're like the feminists of the right. This is a real post from Andrew Tate. Imagine being white and using your whole schlong during sex. That is a real post from him. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say. I would say, imagine not using the whole thing. Why would I not? Do you think I'm so girthy and long that I can't use the whole? What are you talking about? Stop being weird. That's where we've gone to where the red pill is just a laughing stock now. I don't like the association with it, and I got to be honest with you guys. Do you? Would you use a different term? Now, maybe you're fine with it, but the way I look at this is they're throwing me in with people that are brash and over the top and loud and don't live by their own rules. Pearl doesn't live by her own rules. All the things that she say men don't want, she literally does herself. And then she says she can't find a man. Well, no shit. How is that surprising for you? Fresh and Fit tell you on how to be a high-value man, and then Fresh is out there buying paid-for ladies, buying them $30,000 bracelets, paying half of that, sleeping with them, saying I love you to a lady of the night, introducing her to mom, and then knocking her up, maybe. Maybe he didn't knock her up. Either way, there's plenty of it that's been proven. And then Fit, Myron, goes off on tirades where he's flailing around and smashing things on the ground like an irate toddler. And I think Andrew Tate says a lot of good things, but he's also got some pretty weird takes, and he doesn't have a very good history when it comes to making money. I'm not saying that this community is bad. I am extremely proud to be in a community that tries to help guys and talks about current events. But if these people are the ones that come to mind when the words red pill or manosphere are uttered, maybe it's time we just leave it all behind. Maybe instead of saying like men's rights activists, because that instantly triggers everybody, because they'll say men have more rights than, maybe let's just call it the men's movement. Maybe that's what this is. We're just the men's movement. And I don't even associate myself with a movement per se. Maybe we'll shorten it. Let's just call this we're being men. Because men are stoic, men are strong, men believe in a fair and equitable, I don't like the word equitable because it's been hijacked, but in a true, fair, equitable, and reasonable world. And when I say equitable, I mean like, we do need people to have equal rights and equal laws, not laws that are written against men for women. That's what I mean when I say that. I want to be very clear. I'm not turning into some weird DEI stool pigeon. We need a fair world. Isn't that just what being a man is about? Is just doing that? Doing the right thing, being strong, being smart, being sensible, being reasonable. Why does this have to be associated with any terminology? The terminology I like to use for it is I'm a men's advocate. I'm a man that's pulling the best for other men, trying to teach them the best for other men. And you guys out there are men who just are trying to be good men, live a happy life, help other men if they need it, be a good, upstanding citizen and a member of society so things don't go down the toilet bowl. I think the right term for that is I'm just a man. And I knew this would be trouble. I knew this would be trouble when the representatives that are kind of out there are going viral because of some of their takes. I knew that would be trouble when this kind of stuff gets out there. Because this is what they pull up whenever they want to talk about men or men's issues or men's groups or whatever. This is the stuff they'll pull up. Will they pull up any of the normal things we say or any of the normal concerns? No, because they're not clickbait. They're not rage-inducing. It doesn't prove their point well enough. The new term, I think, is we're just men. We're just men advocating for other men to live happy lives and do well. But the other terms, they're shot. They're being run into the ground by weirdos, in my opinion. Guys, if you like my work, jump over to betterbachelor.locals.com. Become a supporter today. It's $5 a month, less than a cup of coffee, and you can help me keep a good thing going. We got a lot of people over there. Forums, amazing forums. It's kind of like our forums are a hub, a centralized hub of information for men, whether it's news, whether it's current events, whether it's men's issues, whether it's ridiculousness. It's kind of like the Twitter, but just for men's issues. That's why I like it so much. I think you would too. Hop on over and check it out. It's free to sign up if you just want to take a look around and then become a supporter. I think you'll be glad you did.